Hello, this is Hector Vladimir. Today is the 3rd of February 2021.
Updated June 11th, 2024.
I wanted to talk about solar, and specifically solar costs, access to solar, especially by the poor, by the working poor, lower middle class, even the middle class. And I wanted to discuss how solar technologies, solar energy, solar panels, solar energy equipment in general is, as of today, even in 2021, pretty much out of reach of about 80 to 90% of those people, that group that I'm mentioning, lower middle to middle class, and the poor, which is the people living under poverty. Of course, if I do install systems, whether it be on-grid, off-grid, as you may know, I want to focus on that group. I am very much part of this group, proud to be. I have no shame in being part of this group, the lower middle class, working poor. And I would like to focus and help those people out. Those people that actually need the solar energy, solar technologies the most. Why do I say they need it the most? Because they are getting pummeled, they're getting abused, they're getting ripped off, ripped to shreds by their
electric company,
by their city, by their government, their county, by the sheer amount of bills that they get, the percentage of their income that they have to allocate to paying for power. It is ridiculous, the percentage. I'm taking it by
personal experience
and by talking to people and having many examples to go by, basically a pool of cases that I have been in contact with on this, that you can spend from my monthly income of about $3,000. You could spend easily $200 to $300 of that in power, sometimes even more, but let's keep it at $250, okay? $250 of your $2,500 to $3,000 income, if you're lower middle class, poor, working poor. That's how much the average person spends, as of my knowledge, per my experience, talking to people and all of this. That's about 6.7%, and could be higher, that percentage of your income that you can be given to the power company. Of course, you're not just giving this money to the power company. I do recognize that the power company does provide a service for you. However, the monopolistic nature of this service and the corruption that's going on with the system, I mean, they basically are given a tremendous amount of power over people, especially people of low income, predominantly and historically people of minority groups, color, disadvantaged people, immigrants. And these people have to pay, and when I say have to, I literally mean they have to pay the one choice they have as a power company, at least 6.7% and up of their income. Many people don't have an income of about $3,000. So if you have a power bill, $200 and up, and you're bringing home $1,500 to $2,000 per month, the percentage could be in the teens. It's insane. It's criminal. It's
unsustainable.
And by providing solar or alternative energy technologies to these people that actually need it, I believe companies would be doing a great service. This is, however, the exception, not the norm. Solar contractors, solar energy systems contractors rarely, if ever, deal with people of low income, low capabilities, because the system is set up for them to ignore and try to avoid such people.
The system is set up for them to ignore and try to avoid such people.
Those people are usually not able to pay, even if they really want it, even if they want a system installed, the technology installed. They can stretch as much as they can, but they will most likely be harmed by such expenditure. So a lot of companies just don't bother. One way to attempt to help those people out, people like that, and have solar energy become available for them, is for governments to provide incentives, especially for those groups. I have not seen that so far here in the United States, especially here in the Southeast. Governments, when they do have incentives, they apply it throughout the board without regard for income, level of wealth, or anything like that. Even if they did try that, that is a very gray area that a lot of people can easily hide the wealth that they have. In this country, there's a lot of privacy laws that prevent companies from just snooping into people's bank accounts and coming into their property and seeing what they have and stuff like that. So it's somewhat difficult to gauge and to truly estimate people's wealth without them being honest about it. And it's hard to determine who is of low income or of low means, who sits in the lowest strata of the economic ladder. So it is kind of difficult doing it that way. The other way could be
private
companies taking the lead, and whether it's single companies or united groups of companies providing services for those people, reaching out for lower income communities and offering their installation services at much lower costs, providing equipment that's perhaps used, providing equipment that's perhaps a lot cheaper, maybe not premium tier 1
equipment,
such as solar panels and stuff, but maybe the more affordable, less quality, however, still effective and still safe type of equipment. Those types of equipment could be offered and provided for those people, and even though many of them still wouldn't be able to afford it, many of them would.
It will depend
on the situation there, whether it's you're talking with middle class, lower middle class, or people at the very bottom of the economic ladder. Of course, the lower you go, the less they will be able to afford it. Another idea, there may be funds created either by private entities, groups, communities, corporations, or governments, city, state, federal, funds to outright pay for these people to have access to equipment and installation. The people that are feeling the most pinch from paying high bills for power companies, again, are the very poor. Those people usually have no property of their own in many instances, and they really cannot make or do a roof installation, for example, where the property would be perforated with bolts and screws. Solar panel installation is really not something that it's portable, especially those installed in roofs. There's racking involved, wiring and disconnects and equipment that is not easily uninstalled once someone is ready to move out. It could be, but not easily so. There's usually a cost involved with the
installation
of such equipment, and of course that may not always be
portable and available
for those lower income folks. A solution for that, I believe, would be truly portable solar technologies such as briefcase-sized solar panel arrays. Perhaps several of those could be connected together and put on porches, yards, deployed, opened up, unfolded, and put on people's front yards, backyards, side yards, maybe on their property like carports, garages, on the outside of them, of course. So that's an option for someone that doesn't have any property, doesn't own their place of dwelling, their apartment or house outright, or is paying for a mortgage for them. Maybe they're renting, maybe they're living there with family and friends, maybe they're just sharing a property with another family. There's plenty of cases like that, especially for poorer folks. So these portable devices, portable panels, portable equipment could be the answer. Of course, batteries would be necessary in many cases, so safe, portable batteries that are light, perhaps made of lithium-ion, could be a solution in those instances. There are several ways for a person interested in solar to have it.
Of course, there are many lifestyle concessions that will need to be made.
If you're going to try not to use your power company as a source of power and switch to solar, if you have a small solar array or solar technology, you have to make many concessions, many sacrifices as far as using energy. You have to decrease dramatically the amount of energy that you use, electrical energy. And I have gone into depth into how to do that in my series, Living Off the Grid in the City. But like I said, the people that need solar technologies the most are the ones that can least
afford it
and are the ones that have the least access to it. So unfortunately, here in the state of Georgia, and many states for that matter throughout the United States, those programs are not available for people of low income. They have very limited or no access to those solar energy equipment, technologies, installation because of the cost mainly. And in many cases, companies just don't offer installation services in certain areas, whether it be because they're too remote, too far from areas that they consider
profitable,
or because simply they just rather not do business in certain areas because of the population, demographics, whatever the reason may be. So in the meanwhile, what I suggest and recommend people of low income to do is to, number one, save energy. Attempt to save energy at all costs. And there are a repertoire of ways of doing this. This is a huge, enormous topic
that I have covered in detail in previous shows.
As I said, the recording of the living off the grid in the city, there are many, many ideas there. Obviously, there are more than that program offers. I suggest you look them up. I do recommend people to invest in solar and alternative energy generation equipment and technologies. However, people of low income especially need to minimize the amount of energy they use so they don't have to spend this much in solar or other types of energy generation such as wind, geothermal, solar heat collectors, etc. What I recommend in the first place, I'll give you a few examples as far as energy saving techniques. First of all, your heat and cooling. Those are your energy hogs for most homes, for most dwellings. Either shut them off if you're able, or dramatically decrease the time that you use those systems. The AC, yes, I know in many areas it's comfortable to be in the AC, air conditioning. However, there are many ways of limiting the amount of AC that you do use. Open up windows is number one. During the summer, spring, early fall of most areas here in the United States, you can live without AC, believe it or not. Open up windows, especially in opposite ends of a home, and a breeze of fresh air is more likely than not to come in and cool off the home, cool off the areas in the home. If you're able to build with this in mind. Build with big windows in areas, if at all possible, where wind and breeze is prevalent. And this is for the warmer areas of the country. Of course, if you live in a colder area of the country, you may not want too much wind in your home because it's obviously cold, and you may have to spend money on heating instead. So there are many things that you can do to cool off your home during the hotter months and to keep the warmth in your home during the winter months. One thing you can do for the opposite, which is keeping your home warmer during the cool months, you can open up windows, meaning open up the curtains, let sunlight come in and start up that greenhouse effect. Open up doors and leave the glass door closed so you can get that sunlight in and the greenhouse effect. Yes, I know the sun is not always shining in many areas of the country, especially during the deep winter. But those days that do, you can save energy. You can open up
window blinds and curtains.
You can also use other sources of heat, such as gas, coal, wood. Fire up that chimney if you have one. Get that wood stove going. Whatever it may be that could prevent you from turning on that electric heat. That electric heat will kill you, and that's power bill. Shut off things when you're not using them. Shut off
appliances,
meaning at the switch, disconnect them, or have a switched power strip so you can just flip a switch instead of having to pull the plug. Turn breakers off or water heaters, whatever it may be that you're not using at the time. Water heaters are permanently running and using energy as long as they are plugged in, connected, wired, and with breaker on. So shut it off. Shut the breaker off. Have a switch on that water heater installed so you can shut it off and on. You don't need that water heater to be heating water permanently while you're not using it, especially when you're not at home. When you're off on a trip, visiting other people for 2 to 3 days, why have that water heater on, running your bill up? Do watch your electric meter. Nowadays it's a lot easier to read your meter since they're digital. For the most part, most areas have upgraded their electrical meter to digital readouts. You can easily keep up with them so that your power company doesn't rip you off. You can, at the very least, jot down, write down, take a picture of the reading, the first of the month, and take another picture the last day of the month. And you subtract the last readout from the first readout. That should give you the amount of kilowatts per hour that you used that month. Therefore, you can keep that in your records. So when you get your power bill and you get 200 to 300 kilowatts per hour more than what you actually used, you can actually bring it up to the power company and say,
no, adjust this because I'm not paying for this extra power and I have proof that I did not use that much power.
Especially if you take pictures of that meter in those days. Another thing you can do is to, again, shut off everything that you're not using. Don't leave anything on when you walk out the door. Don't leave anything on that you're not using, period. Switch out all of your light bulbs to LED if you haven't done so already. Another thing that uses a lot of energy are your electric stoves, electric ovens. Attempt not to use those. Attempt to switch them out to gas if you can. If you really need to have those, attempt to use them as little as possible. Those are power hogs.
Power hogs.
Especially the older types that don't really have any sensor technology that shuts off the power whenever the temperature is up to the setup temperature. For example, if you put it in high, the newer technology, the electric stoves will shut off power when the temperature is high enough, and then will cut power back on when the temperature needs to be brought up. Again, older technologies don't have this feature, so you may have to upgrade and watch closely how much energy you're using, how often you use these equipment. If you cannot upgrade or replace, if at all possible, again, try to not use those and use alternative means of, for example, cooking, such as wood stoves, charcoal stoves. You can go gas, whether it be natural or propane. There is, again, a repertoire of things you can do, and for that I do refer you to my video of
saving energy before going off the grid.
That's a video I did that breaks down all of this in a bit more detail. You can also purchase and invest in solar technologies, even if you're lower income. Of course you can. You can start with as little as one panel, one battery, one inverter, and one battery charger. You can connect those together per the manufacturer's instructions and get a small solar energy generator going. Your power company will begin to pay you for this, and proudly so, you should invest, if at all possible, in solar technologies. Even if it's small, even if you have to put it in your front porch, backyard, your balcony, whatever it is, you can do this very safely. We're dealing with 12-volt DC electricity going to a small battery. You can get a small 12-volt battery for about $15 to $20. One of those sealed 7-amp-hour batteries. Look it up on eBay or Amazon or any other store of your choice, preferably online, so it can save you some money. And you can connect a small inverter, 12 volts to 120 volts inverter. Hook up your panel, of course, through a charge controller to that battery. And there you go. You have a small solar power energy generation system right there, right in front of you. You can place that startup kit anywhere there is sunlight and you have generation going. Yes, of course, you're not going to be able to do much with this, but it's a start. You can charge cell phones, you can run a laptop from it, you can run a small television from it for a few hours per day. You can run, again, small electronics, you can run a light. What I would recommend using that for is to charge the equipment that you use. A lot of people now are just using devices for entertainment, to communicate. So you really don't need to plug into a wall outlet. You can just plug your devices to a charger. Many of these inverters have USB connections built in, and you can just hook up your phone, tablet, your small laptop, whatever it may be that you want to use, and a lot of those use very little energy. And you can charge them and unplug, be on your way, use it for hours, and you can be, just using these equipment throughout the days, throughout the weeks, and next thing you know, you're saving a lot of energy by not turning on that TV, by not turning on that big stereo, some of which, do use a lot more energy than your devices. Yes, devices do use less energy than before. However, they still require more energy than your average phone or a small laptop. You can invest, if you are able, in bigger systems. If you're in the lower middle class, the middle class, to be self-sustained somewhat, you're not too much in debt. You can invest in smaller systems for a few $1,000s. Of course, the bigger the system, the more quality, the more capable, the more involved, the more expensive that system's going to be. But many people can sacrifice some things like cutting off your TV services and save enough money in 1 year to 2 years to afford a small to medium-sized solar installation. Believe it or not. You'll be surprised. And this also is the topic of some of the episodes that I made for Living Off the Grid. So you can check those and learn a lot about how to get the money to install these solar energy systems that will save you money and perhaps even get you off the grid, which is the goal of many of those that want to save money, that want to get away and off of the clutches of your power company and your city. Yes, you can turn off everything in your home and use solar energy to run your home. That is a possibility. However difficult and involved it may seem, it is, however, very attainable, and many people, thousands and thousands of people, have done just that. Thank you very much. This is all for right now. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment, and I will try to answer any of your questions or address any of your concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please look for the next episode soon, and please ensure to share this with your friends and family. And please like this content and subscribe as a sign of support and for me to continue to provide this type of content to more people like you. Lastly, if you wish to support this content further, please visit the links provided in this publication. Thank you.